Hello and welcome to all of our federal client agencies, neighbors, community partners, and stakeholders at the San Francisco Federal Building. Thank you for joining us today. Today's presentation is being recorded and will be made available later on our website. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dan Brown. I'm the Public Building Service Regional Commissioner for the General Services Administration in San Francisco, and I am normally a block away from the building at our offices at Civic Center. So GSA works in the neighborhood. We're very in tune with what is happening in the area, and we're totally vested for our employees and the people who live and work in that area of San Francisco. At the start of the project, we identified 4 main goals. And they were to improve the safety and security of the plaza, maximize the use of space for building users, visitors, the cafe patrons, neighbors, and the public. Create a design that's economical to construct, maintain, and manage over the long term. And then create a plaza that acknowledges the original building design, which had aspirations of the federal government and contributing to the community and the citizens of San Francisco in mind. And our hope is to continue that contribution. Last year, when we started this, we asked for all of your input and help in shaping the design. Some of you may have attended a public workshop where you weighed in on various designs. The team has considered that, and if you did participate, we thank you for your thoughts and your input. In March, GSA awarded a contract to Ironwood Commercial Builders in partnership with Hargreaves Jones design firm to design and construct the new and better plaza. Ironwood Commercial Builders has done great work for GSA all around Northern California, and separately they constructed the nearby 675 Texas Street mixed-use apartments, which included a garden and courtyard on the green roof. Hargreaves Jones is an international design firm in San Francisco. They've done a number of notable projects. One of the main ones you can see here is Crissy Field, which is a great environment that we can all take advantage of. Fortunately, maybe this week we can see it again without the smoke that's cleared. Over the last few months, GSA has been making progress and working with Hargreaves Jones to create a design for the plaza that reflects community feedback collected at last year's engagement sessions. And today we're going to have Megan Quinn, the principal for Hargreaves Jones, with a master's degree in landscape architecture and urban planning, join us to talk through the final design and the progress. And then at the end of the year, we anticipate Ironwood will begin construction on the plaza, and we look forward to putting that planning, discussion, and design into reality. So now I'm going to introduce GSA's project executive and architect responsible for this project, David Leitis. David, please take it away.
Hi, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. From the beginning, we knew that since this plaza is part of the public realm, that community engagement was going to be very important to the success of this project. And I'm proud to say that this project is a case study for GSA's design excellence and urban development programs. GSA hired Smith Group to facilitate the community engagement phase of this project. We listened to what people thought works, what doesn't, and what opportunities they see in the plaza. This slide illustrates how the community engagement effort fits within the phases of the overall project. The first workshop was about listening to people's thoughts about what worked and what didn't work with the plaza as it exists today. It was very well attended and we heard a lot of interesting observations. What stood out to us was that there was a very clear consensus from the community. The second workshop was also very well attended. This time, the conversation centered around what kinds of features the plaza renovation should focus on providing in the future. And again, we heard a very strong consensus from participants. So based on these two workshops, Smith Group and GSA developed the scope of the renovation project. In other words, we outlined what the designers needed to design and what the builders needed to build in the next phase. While changing the design of the plaza is an important step in the right direction, one of the project goals is about realizing an active public space. During the community engagement phase, we connected with organizations that are involved in the activation of public spaces in this part of San Francisco. They provided us with some great advice. GSA is now working towards implementing the measures shown here with the goal of having them in place by the time that the renovation work is done. Smith Group did a great job with the community engagement phase, and now we're in the execution phase of the project. The Ironwood Commercial Builders and Hargreaves Jones design build team is supported by these consultants and subcontractors. The design build team has done a great job so far, and we are confident in their abilities moving forward. The design that we are going to show you next is the result of the input and feedback from the public workshops. I now hand it off to Megan Quinn of Hargreaves Jones to talk about the design.
Great, thanks, David. Hello, everyone. Really excited to share our design for this project with you today. Christy, if you don't mind going to the next slide. Just getting my interface set up here. So anytime we start a project, the first thing we do is try to understand the site, especially its existing conditions. And in an urban fabric and environment like this, it's really crucial to understand all of the edge conditions as well as essential features that are going to remain, such as the James Turrell light installation, the existing seat walls that surround the perimeter of the site, and the cafe as well as a central feature of the plaza. So next. So this aerial site plan shows where the James Turrell light feature comes down from the facade of the building and actually is a primary feature in the plaza, and then also where the cafe sits. And that orange line is the sort of the limits of work of our plaza design. So that's the boundary within which we were working and developing the design. Next. Anytime we start a project, we also are looking to precedents for inspiration. And so for this project, we started with the building. And you know, one of its primary features is its beautiful facade of folding planes that then translate into a roof canopy coming down into the plaza. Next. We also look to our own work. These are examples of projects that we've done around the country. And one of the things that our firm is known for is manipulating land, creating different topographies to shape spaces. Next. So putting these two elements together, we came up with a folded landscape concept. So I think this image, you can see how that roof canopy comes down off the building and folds, and then we translated that idea into two landforms that start to shape a central plaza. Next. So looking at it in plan view, the existing berm will remain, and then there's one landform to the north that'll be planted with a meadow. The James Turrell light fixture slices through that, so it becomes a really prominent element. And then the central plaza, which is oriented to the cafe and the existing in the federal building, is bounded at the south side by another planting area. A perimeter fence wraps the entire plaza to sort of balance safety and security. Next. We also wanted to create, and one of the goals was to create a space that allowed for occasional flexible events or things like farmers markets or art markets. So these are diagrams that are just, what we do is sort of just test fit, can these elements work? So we can fit about 30 market stalls within the plaza and around the perimeter on the walkways. And then also with those landforms framing that central plaza space, it creates a great environment for flexible and spontaneous events. Next. So here you see a bird's eye view of the proposed design from Mission Street, and you see that perimeter fence that is wrapping behind the existing seat walls and bollards, which have been left for vehicular, as a vehicular barrier and security. And then sort of the layered view of the plaza, and then that secondary landform, and then the berm behind. Next. Now down on Mission Street, you know, on the sidewalk, walking along the plaza, you start to see the fence design. We are proposing this to be galvanized steel to be compatible material with the building. And our goal is to create sort of a simple, clean, light, modern, very open, transparent design as possible while still maintaining achieving our security goals. And so, so this is an example of what the fence will look like from the street. And in terms of operations, the intent is for the 3 gates, one on 7th Street and 2 on Mission Street, to be open daily and according with building operations hours. And then those red lines that you see are so the primary and secondary pathways, paths of travel of how we anticipate people sort of moving around and using the space. So now this is a view right outside the cafe in the plaza. And what we're, and you start to see how those landforms really frame and create a place, a there within the greater plaza area. They're flanked by a sloped lawn to provide flexible seating on the south side. We're proposing to include movable furniture as a part of the cafe. And then on the right-hand side of the image, you see stepped concrete seat walls. And so another goal that came out of the community workshops was to create a sort of a variety of seating opportunities. And then this is a view, sort of you just came out of the federal building, looking towards the cafe. Again, you see the landforms flanking this plaza. We're proposing permeable pavers as part of our stormwater management strategy here. And then again, you see the lawn now to the right, and planting and the step seating to the left. And we're imagining that, or we're designing that landform to be planted as a pollinator meadow. And so this planting plan shows you the existing berm again. The pollinator meadow is a central feature of that first landform, the sloped lawn, and then we'll have a pollinator meadow just outside or inside the perimeter fence. And then the short sides of the landform, those edges will be planted with more of a woodland planting. Next, thanks. So one of our goals for the planting design is that 50% of the species that we select are going to be pollinator positive species, and have at least 3 species bloom per season. So the idea is to have you know, a lot of variety and texture and layered color and interest, something going on year round. Next. So this is a view just outside the building entry along the existing walkway looking towards 7th Street, and you see that pollinator meadow of the landform, and then just in the foreground, the woodland, the meadow, or I'm sorry, the woodland planting with the plaza and the cafe beyond. And then this is just a sampling of the plants that we're proofing for the final installation. And again, the emphasis on texture, layers, color, vibrant colors ranging from purples to pale yellows. Next. And just a little bit more, yeah. And that for that woodland garden area, it's we're thinking about, you know, a rich tapestry of greens, and then a very durable lawn. So in terms of where we are, Dan mentioned that we're targeting construction to start at the end of this year, with the plaza opening at the end of 2021. Right now, the design team is just finishing up our construction documentation, and then we'll be turning it over to Ironwood to start construction.
Thanks, Megan. To wrap up the presentation, I'd just like to remind everyone that this has been recorded and that the recording will be posted to the project website. And finally, I'd just like to thank all the members of the community who participated in this process, who showed up at the workshops and so forth, because without your participation, this would not be a truly successful project. So thank you again. Bye.